a little bit? Have you focused any more on the offense and maybe more consistent spacing and things of that nature, just to kind of fine tune things as you go down the stretch run here?
I mean, we've always been working on our offense. I mean, the emphasis has been on defense because our offense wasn't producing as much as we would have liked, especially in transition. So we focused in that area, and now our focus is being able to convert in transition. There are a lot of empty possessions. There are a lot of charges being called on us, but at least we're able to set up our defense. So this past week in our preparation for Alabama and Auburn have been focused on just trying to push the pace and make the right decision and take the right shots. So I like the
Greg,
direction that we're heading into.
I apologize, Coach. Greg, and then Matt.
Don, just looking at Auburn, they're a team that can kind of give others trouble with their defense, and Unique Thompson's a pretty good player. What have you seen from them? What have you been focusing on in your preparation for them?
I mean, it's always just being able to break their press. It is constant. It's relenting. It's they're focused on that. They know they have to turn you over in order for them to stay in the basketball games, because they just have so many new players that it'll take an entire year to get everybody in a good place. I think Terry's doing a great job with how they're playing and doing the things they need to do to win basketball games. For us, we have to play clean basketball. We got to try to keep it as clean as possible. We certainly can't fall in in the hands of turning the ball over, because they just they take advantage of you, and we're not as good when we're turning the basketball over. When we get shots at the basket, it affords our rebounders to get in there and rebound and give us second, third chance points. So we got to keep the game clean, and we can't always dribble through their press. We got to try to figure out how we work over it, through it, around it, because you can't just settle in and just play it one way. And that's probably, what's got me, you know, up at night trying to figure out what is the best way for our basketball team to break it. Especially because it's a little bit different than we've ever seen as far as this year. And, again, you lose a quarterback like Ty that could probably pick it apart. Henny, will have to do her job and use her speed and sometimes use her ability to pass the ball. And then we got to help her.
Matt, and then Keith.
Coach, your players talk all the time about how they don't pay attention to rankings. They don't really pay attention to streaks or whatever the numbers that they're throwing out all the time. I'm just wondering, just from like a player perspective, how much do they pay attention to what else is going on in the game, like who's beating who, other teams and stuff like that? And how much are they really just in their own bubble focusing on their strategy, their games, and just one game at a time?
I know they pay attention to it. Whether or not they give it any, credence, that's another thing. They watch these. This is a team, unlike probably other teams that we've had, where they are really watching the games. They're students of the game. They got friends on other teams that they're keeping up with. We really don't harp on the number beside our name. We really don't. Obviously, it was great to be the number one team in the country in the preseason because that's something that we've never been. But we've never played to the ranking at all, and we certainly aren't going to, start now. But I will say this: I would like to be the number one team in the country right now because we just don't know what's going to happen, and I'd rather for us to end it the way we ended it last year, being on the top, versus anything else.
Keith, and then Mitch.
All right, so two questions. following up on the end of your answer for my first question, a lot of charges have been called, and I've coached basketball since the 1980s, and I thought I knew what a charge was until about the last 4 or 5 games. I mean, how do you handle that? And hypothetically, if you were not pleased with calls, like football, they send cut ups to the SEC office. How do you guys deal with that? So that's one. And then number two, obviously, you got Auburn on Thursday. How do you just keep the focus on Auburn? Because, I mean, there's that big game on Monday coming up that, is going to be the talk of the nation in women's college basketball. And I know as a coach, you preach one game at a time, but how do you keep, players in their peripheral vision from kind of looking ahead?
Well, I'm going to tackle your first question, and I'm going to answer it. If they find me, they find me. I hope they don't. But it's a part of our game, and it's impacting.
I'm not trying to.
I know, and it's impacting our team. I answered it on the radio show last night, and basically I said that we do turn in what we feel are questionable calls every week. I was one that never sent stuff in, but now I just see that you have to kind of bring it to their attention, and hopefully they can take a look at it. We do get a little feedback. Some, our coordinator does say, she agrees with some, she disagrees with others. It's a hard call. That's number one. Number two, I just feel like at the rate that we're getting called for charges, there should be, at least a third blocks. Like we've never really got, we got one block in the past 4 or 5 games in that scenario. I will say this, in the Mississippi State game, Leah's running down the court, somebody stops in front of her, and she holds up, but that person just falls. They called an offensive foul on her. I'll take that. Okay, then several plays later, the same thing happened, and there's nothing. It has to be something. It has to be at least a block or an offensive foul. It can't be just, we don't have a flopping rule. You don't have a flopping rule, but you do have a rule that states that if a person impedes another person's progress, then something should be called. And I'm just going by what I know from the conversations that I've had with officials, on deaf ears, but we still have to bring it to their attention. And now just, about maybe Auburn being a trap game for us, it's not, and people may call me crazy, but our Auburn game is more important than the UConn game. You lose nothing, from the UConn game besides the loss. You'll gain in some net points. You'll gain just because the game is there. Auburn, for me is the gateway to what we're trying to do, is win our league. You lose a game in our league and it's a 3-way tie or 4-way tie, with 2 other teams, and it just puts so much pressure on you. The UConn game is really no pressure. You got to go out and you got to play somebody outside of your conference, and win, lose, or draw. All your goals are still in place. So we haven't said one thing about UConn. We'll tackle that. We got more than enough time to tackle that with Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mitch, and then we'll close it out with Greg.
And Coach, I mean, obviously, like you said, just taking it game by game. But you guys are doing that thing again this year where you guys don't lose for months at a time. And if you win tomorrow, it'll be 2 months since your last loss. But you talk about the SEC standings and just trying to make sure that you handle business there. Checking in on the vibe this month, do you feel like you guys have reached a point where it's just about executing on your end? You're not worrying about the other teams, or do you feel like you guys still have another level you can reach as you try to march towards March in championship time?
I mean, we've been one that's always, our opponents, we don't take them lightly. We respect what they do out there on the floor. We try to take away their strengths. So that's a big part of our preparation. While, getting better in some areas, which I feel, good teams would take advantage of, us not being able to convert in transition. Good teams would take advantage of maybe not Aaliyah being as efficient as she needs to be in the paint. Good teams would take advantage of Zaya, maybe, taking some ill-advised shots. Good teams would be prepared for us to, if Henny's turning the ball over. I mean, we got several things that could happen. Fortunately for us, it doesn't always happen on, in the same game. And I hope it never happens in the same game again. So I mean, we're always, in that cycle of trying to get better, trying to play the perfect game, and then you link those days up with preparation and then game again. I think really, really good teams are able to do that.
And the last question to Greg.
Don, we're talking a lot about SEC's play and how important that is. There's been some talk about maybe not playing the conference tournaments, given the possibility of COVID issues that could arise just before the NCAA tournament. What's your take on that?
I say let's play. I mean, I'm all for playing. We got a protocol that's in place. We ourselves are taking it, to the higher standard of adhering to what we need to adhere to continue to play. I think our players, I'm just going to speak for our players. They've, they're doing what they're supposed to do to play because they want to play. If we can continue to create the bubble like we are, I say let's take that ride up to Greenville and see what team can come out and get a tournament championship. Cutting down the nets never gets old.